What up, everybody? Welcome back to Broadcast Hoops. It's, of course, Jamal Murphy and Chris Walker, the great Chris Walker of CBS Sports and other things he's doing out there. Who knows what with Chris? He's doing all kinds of stuff out there. I don't even know what state he's in right now.
Multifaceted, man. You got to be
Yeah,
multifaceted.
yeah, he's definitely multifaceted.
Yeah.
Inspiration to us all. And I'm of course Jamal Murphy, writer at large, Anscape, ESPN, Sports Illustrated, etc. We're going to talk NBA playoffs. Uh, we're both also college basketball aficionados. That season has passed, even though there's all kind of portal stuff going on with all that. But we're going to get right into what's going on right now with basketball, and it's another great time of the year, NBA playoffs. I got I'm talking to a Laker fan right now,
Hey, what would the playoffs
so
be without the
wait,
Lakers?
that's true. But first, any overall, how are these playoffs been for you? I mean, for me, uh, you know, not all the first rounds are done, but it's been very a lot of good storylines, a lot of interesting things. Like the lower seeds are having are doing better than they usually do in these playoffs. What's the overriding
I
sentiment for
mean,
you?
it's the two series that are 3-1, where the lower seed, two playing teams, the Miami Heat.
True.
You saw Jimmy Butler drop a 50 ball, and Giannis coming back with a 30-point triple double. Right. So how often does that happen? But again, we're talking about injuries, and I'm one of those guys who do not like coaches to use injuries uh, as a reason why they don't get it done. Right. But they still factor into the equation, particularly in the league. Because I don't really think you can, I shouldn't say I don't think you can out coach guys, because my coaching background will smack me across the head and say, well, there's some guys that can be out coached. But at the end of the day, if Giannis Antetokounmpo is not on the floor, that's a huge loss. Okay, let's just face it.
Yeah, no doubt.
If the Lakers are playing without Anthony Davis, huge loss. Something that's probably hard to overcome, even with the great LeBron James. But in those two series, they're up 3-1. I think injuries to the Memphis Grizzlies play a big part. And here's a funny thing, and I might be in the minority when I say this: the Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, are they like superheroes or something? Because every time someone brings up, now when the Memphis Grizzlies win, it's like, oh my God, Xavier Tillman, oh my God, Dylan the villain, oh my God, Ja Morant, oh my God, look at who's the kid, Desmond Bain. I mean, they laud them to death, and then when they lose, oh my God, well, they're playing without Steven Adams, and they're playing without Brandon Clark. Okay, well, come on, you can't have it both ways.
I'm sensing some Laker fandom
Oh,
vibes
well, I'm
from
just
you.
saying, like, I mean, as a broadcaster, I understand storylines. You mentioned before, you're a writer. It's like they just keep the drama going. Well, they're playing without these guys. Okay, then what if they win? What are you going to say? What
Which
are you going to say if they win? What's the
which
storyline?
which they probably should have done
Oh,
last night.
wow.
Let
You
let's
know,
talk let's talk
what
about that
category is
series.
that?
Let's talk about that Laker Memphis series. Okay, it's 3-1 Lakers. How are you feeling about the situation now? Because I'm looking at it, you know, I picked Memphis in 5, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. I picked Memphis in
Oh, yeah,
5.
little
I went into this series, you know,
well, you picked Memphis. You picked Memphis in 5 with the superheroes being hurt.
yeah, with the super, with the which was probably obviously a mistake in retrospect. I didn't know how what a big deal that was because I slept on the Lakers in general because I watched the Lakers all year, and the way I look at it is you are what you are. You are old Bill Parcells line. You are what your record says you are, and Lakers are up and down all year. AD plays big one game, doesn't the next game, but what I think I overrated Memphis and their ability to really rise to the occasion. And some of their young guys just haven't been there. Triple J not really doing what I expect him to do.
Second game he was good. Second game he was on.
Second game, but you come on, man. If you're an all-star, if you're a defensive player of the year, he's been good on defense. But if you're that guy or that soon to be guy, I need you to show up every game in the playoffs, and he hasn't done that. And then Bain really only had one good game, and that was game 4 when he finally showed up and dropped 30 plus. And then Dylan Brooks. I mean, I knew he couldn't shoot, but I never realized until we watched closely in the playoffs. He still has a one-handed jump shot. Like, are you kidding me? So wait, but how, as a Laker fan, how you feeling about the series so far?
Man, I feel absolutely good. Now, here's the one thing about the Lakers. You know, they take you up, they take you down. I mean, you're talking about peaks and valleys. If I heard Charles Barkley say peaks and valleys one more time last night on NBA TNT, I was like, yo, man, okay, we get it, peaks and valleys. But LeBron is just LeBron and AD. There's so much is expected out of those two guys, right? LeBron is clearly aging, but LeBron always almost was the 20 and 20 again. Dylan Brooks asked for 40. He just got it in a different way. But to still say that the most dominant player on the floor doesn't always have to be the most productive point wise. LeBron has to be accounted for. LeBron would have had a triple double last night if Rui could make a shot and a couple other guys could make shots. They just made them on their own. But at the end of the day, you mentioned, you are what, your records say you are, but you got to realize the trade deadline. That's what changed everything. I thought Malik Beasley would have a bigger role, but he doesn't. But, D'Lo, coming back from that sabbatical on a little haterade. They let him come back from the hate, what they call it, haterade or whatever it was, Hategate. Right. But, and then Austin Reeves' role, I mean, this kid has been, nothing short of phenomenal. And I think Schroeder, even though he tried to throw the game away, game 4 away with those ridiculous turnovers, played great defense. But off the bench, the others and Rui Hachimura, I mean, that's just, what that guy's doing. I would have never, out of Gonzaga, thought this guy. You know what's funny? I don't want to sidebar for a second. Now we're not talking about college basketball. I was just saying the other day, like, people hate on Gonzaga. They got a bunch of dudes in the league, man.
Yeah. So Rui, the kid, Sacramento, Sabonis. Who else?
They got the kid with the Wizards. The Crispin, is it Crispin?
Yeah, the starter. They
got Jalen Suggs. It was somebody else. Brandon Clark. I mean, they got some dudes in the league. I was like, low key, Gonzaga's got some players in the NBA.
No question. I mean, just college basketball wise, they've been like a top 15 team for how many years straight?
Listen, the kid that got hurt last year, the 7-footer, Chet Hogan.
Yeah,
he's dudes in the league.
He'll be back next year. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, and so. And I didn't mean to sidebar, but I was just like caught off guard. Like, man, Gonzaga's put some guys that are actually in big moments right now in the NBA. So shout out to that program, the job they've done. But, back to the Lakers series, to me, it comes down to this. And see, I watch all the pundits and I, obviously being a broadcaster, I'm looking at what they're saying, the Stephen A.
You are a pundit.
I know, but I mean, watching them, I'm the smart one. I don't know.
Right. I got you.
Pundits. I'm the guy that really gives it to them the way it's supposed to be done. But some of the comments that some of these guys make, I'm like, guys, Anthony Davis is being triple teamed. What do you want him to do? He's being triple teamed. Like when some of these things that people say, automatically as a coach and a player, I said, that guy's never played before. Like, you guys want Anthony Davis to score over 3? It's the same argument I have with LeBron. Well, and I don't even want to say his name because he's an absolute knucklehead. Well, why can't LeBron just drive and just score on people? Bruh, what are you talking about? The other guys are in the league too. They have strategy. They have walls built up. He doesn't. He's not 22 anymore. He can't soar over people. And you just can't drive and get to the rim over 4 people.
I mean, that layup he made to tie the game, that was impressive.
And there's some things like, don't let him go right. I'm like, okay, he could go left and right because the other shot in overtime was left. But the bottom line is people kill LeBron about not wanting to drive because he didn't want to go to the line. Here's this. Michael Jordan, I don't want to bring up the comparison. I want to say it's an 84 career free throw shooter. I want to say KD's like 86. LeBron's 73. Why that's not Sterling? People find chinks. We got to find something he's not good at. He still shoots 73%. If we go to some of the other greats, what does Luka Doncic shoot from the foul line? I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, he wasn't great this year. He wasn't great.
But my thing is, it's not that. They're not going to call foul. You got a young kid, right? Yep. And you ever see when they go play against the bigger kids and people say, man, you got to tough, especially from my hood. If you're a big dude, they were like, man, ain't nobody call that, man. Tough that up. Like, yo, man, that's a foul. Man, it don't matter, man. You got to get tough, big dude. Hey, young boy, you got to get tough. And that's how they
Right.
used to do Shaq, man. We're not calling every foul because he would live on the line. But Hacker Shaq became a thing because Shaq couldn't make free throws. LeBron, they can say whatever they want. At the end of the day, they don't call the same fouls on LeBron that they used to. So even when he drives, he used to get that call that Jordan used to get all the time. Them little ticky-tacks. Man, I didn't touch him. Even on Xavier, even on the layup that he made, that could have been a low-key and one. Some of the other calls they made, come on, man.
I don't know, man. LeBron was getting his share of foul calls, man. I don't know. As a person who was rooting for Memphis during that game,
You're out of your mind on that.
you know, I'm looking at that like, come on, man.
Way out of pocket.
I know LeBron is, you know, arguably the best player ever, but come on.
How about the two charges?
Those were great. I mean, one of them, he might have been leaning a little bit, but you know, still great defensive plays regardless.
Ja Morant took off like he was in a
yeah. I don't understand. That's what I mean. Ja Morant, can you just get a pull up, Jay? Like, come on. That's how you got hurt in the first place. That's how you got hurt in the first place. Like, what on that play he got hurt? Where was he going? You got Anthony Davis standing there. First of all, you're not scoring on Anthony Davis that close to the basket anyway.
He did on the left hand on Rui though. He caught Rui with the left.
Oh yeah, no, he caught a couple people, but I would say his batting average on those drives to the hole this series have not been great.
I mean, you got to give Shooter credit. He's bothered him enough. But here's the deal, though. Like, that's where scouting comes. Like, Darvin Ham gets a lot of criticism.
Yes. Let me ask you, because I know a lot of people who just slam that they don't want to give Darvin Ham any credit if he wins, and they give all the credit if he loses. You think Ham is doing a decent job?
Listen, here's what I'll say, and I don't want to get too political because Jalen Rose said it best. He called out Phil Jackson on the comments that he made, which are absolutely, to me, out of pocket. I don't have to go into it if you want to. And he's right. It was buried. The story was buried, and no one brought attention to it. You're talking about a guy who's supposed to be the greatest coach in NBA history, who coached probably 90% African-American players, and doing something like that where the world had his, you know, had the intention of the entire world, shall I say. We're talking about an issue, by the way, that if it did not take place the way it did, or if they didn't get the fervor behind it, Raphael Warnock might not even be senator right now. So it's a serious issue.
Right.
And to say something like that, to me, is egregious. And we give this guy credit for being the best coach up. So now I say that to say this: coaching two superstars, which clearly they say he did the best ever. Well, arguably, he had two of the greatest. He had, first of all, we can argue he had the greatest, number one, right? Who never, I mean, my little shot at Mike, who I love, he never won without 33. Let's just keep that. Let's make you understand that.
He also made him. Okay, let's be honest.
I don't know about that made him part. He had 4 Hall of Famers. Yeah, and he didn't make Brad Sellers. He didn't make Brad Sellers.
That's true. That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? But my point is to coach LeBron, and this is his first coaching job, by the way. To coach LeBron and AD is temperamental as he is. I mean, look what Ty Lue's going through trying to coach Paul George and Kawhi. It's not easy. So people can talk about X and O's all you want. And some people will say, like, and you've probably written about stuff like this, Jamal. People will say, like, man, it should be easy to coach those guys. Bro, it's not that easy like you think.
Right.
When you have to sit there and look at Kobe and Shaq fighting over probably nothing that will not get resolved. It could be something about changing the channel in the training room while they're getting taped. Like, people don't understand, as a coach for almost 25 years, I get those egos. And someone who can mastermind that or can handle that is a very special person. Forget about what he said. So talk about Darvin Ham, for him to get him to this point. And obviously, Rob Pelinka has done a decent job of getting some other guys around
since the trade deadline.
Since the trade deadline. And again, I don't know who the Russell Westbrook experiment is all about. You know, what that was all about. Everybody thought it was going to work. Remember, they had Rondo. I remember that picture. You know, I always tell people, you know what? Hey, keep that same energy. I remember they took the picture of LeBron, AD, Russ, Rondo, and it might have been a fifth. Like, they were talking about all the Hall of Famers. I'm like, man, them dudes are 95 years old, man. They got no chance of playing in this NBA with the Kings, with the Grizzlies when healthy. Those dudes are running up and down the floor now. Sooner or later, the Timberwolves will figure it out. You know, even I'll say the Nuggets. Look
Right.
at this.
Oh
People disrespecting the Nuggets. I'm
no, no. I mean,
telling
I was, I was a little, suspect as far as they were concerned. But after watching this first round, I'm high on the Nuggets now. I'm like, it's gonna be tough.
you. Listen,
Phoenix was my original pick out of the West. I'm a
that
little worried about the
Your guy,
Nuggets right now.
your guy. Listen, there's a saying that Michael Jordan made the game global. LeBron James made the game mobile. And KD and all those guys, people can say what they want about college basketball and the transfer portal, Jamal. At the end of the day, the AAU world of today, college basketball with the portal, and the NBA with free agency, these guys are used to moving. Right or wrong? You tell me.
Yeah, no question. It's a whole different, and it really did happen like that with like after you know I'm talking about LeBron high school and college. It was LeBron didn't go to college, but it was like a little bit after his generation, things just totally switched to where people just, and even though you could say LeBron played a huge role in it with the Miami and the Big Three, that he might have started it all on the NBA
Nah,
level.
he didn't though. He didn't. I thought the Celtics did.
Yeah,
They
that's
got
true.
KG and Ray Allen and Paul Pierce was already there. But I think that was the original big three. And
Yeah,
I
that's
think
fair.
LeBron is much maligned because the way that happened. But you got to realize D Wade was the only one there in Miami, and it wasn't the same until LeBron got there. They
Right.
can say they want about, and the funny thing is, D Wade was he was still good. He
Yeah.
was kind of on the decline a little bit. I shouldn't say on the decline, but it wasn't Wade County like it used to be. And Bosh, I just never had respect for Bosh like that. I hate saying that, and I know he had a great career,
Right.
but Bosh was never that dude like that, where it's like big three. But I guess because it's the same way they talk about Kevin Love when he came to the Cavs. I'm like, okay, he on a losing team, though. Like, he don't win. He put up numbers, they don't win.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. But
What?
Bosch played his role to a T. When you in
Oh man,
retrospect, now I agree with you. He was not on the level of those two guys, even though they tried to play that up because he was an all-star at a young age. He had potential at that point. But I mean, if you talk about a guy who really sacrificed and fell into that role he needed to get the job done, Bosch is
I
up there.
mean, and they may get him to the Hall of Fame because he got 2 rings, but they really became like a big four. They became more of what the Bulls were, because people got to realize the Bulls had Jordan, Hall
And
of
Pippen,
Famer,
yeah.
Pippen, Hall of Famer, Kukoc, Hall of Famer, Rodman, Hall of Famer, and they had Ron Harper, who people fail to realize was a very good player.
Yeah.
Was
He
the
just he
ultimate
just
rock.
wasn't what he was.
He
I think
wasn't
that's
what
what
he
people,
was.
because remember when he was with Cleveland and the Clippers, like he was a
He was a dude. But
yeah.
so if that show, he's like Austin Reeves. If that show Austin Reeves, geez, he's pretty good, because you got to remember when he left the Bulls, where did he go and won more rings? With the Lakers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And
Ron
won a
Harper
couple more
was
rings.
a very good player. And so what I'm saying is they built a great roster there. And now today to win, and just to wrap up that Memphis series, my thing is this, man, and we don't have to talk about Ja Morant's off the court problems. Like, what do you feel? I have to ask you a question, because this is honestly something that, again, it's all about emotions. You always want to be professional. Dylan Brooks, Ja Morant, walk out, no media. After, again, you score 45, you all say, hey, what's up? You called LeBron old. Now you lose, and tell me how you feel about them not, going to media, which is part of their responsibilities, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not one of those guys who takes it personally or makes a huge deal out of it when guys don't want to talk. But in the Dylan Brooks situation, I mean, it is a bad look because you nobody asked you to talk before when you were calling LeBron old, and even the next day, when you continue to disparage him in whatever way you saw fit, and then you have a bad game and you run away. It's just a bad look, and Morant too. I mean, especially if you're the star of the team, you got to suck it up. You got to come out, talk. I covered the Knicks back in the day. No matter what happened, Carmelo would talk. He might make you wait for an hour after the game, but he would be out there to answer questions no matter what in to the New York media. I think that's the way you have to cover it. I mean, like you said, it's your responsibility. It's part of your job
So, so
to talk to the
is
media.
that part of, and you would know this more than me, is that part of the new culture of player, like that's coming out? Like, I don't know this. Like, Steph Curry and LeBron. Steph 35, LeBron's 38. Like these guys are older guys in the game where they let their that move like that for those guys to act like that, like the media's against them.
Yeah.
Dylan saying, "Oh, they call me Dylan the villain." Bruh, you just got more followers because of that. You just got more hype. Yeah, because media, because popularity works both ways. There's people that love you, there's people that hate you, but you put them both together, they're still followers.
Yeah, and he's a villain because of what he does on the court and off. Like nobody makes you say the stuff you do, and nobody forces you to take cheap shots half the time on the court that you do. I mean, you've made yourself that villain. Remember, I mean, I always say, Donovan Mitchell, probably the nicest guy you'll ever meet. No matter what the profession. If you make Donovan Mitchell swing on you, then you are a villain.
Yeah.
And so nobody likes Dylan Brooks. I mean, he created that persona. So for him, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
To be honest, it's probably why he's in the league. Like,
it is why he's in the league. He needs that edge. He needs that edge, and he's a good defender. He's fearless. He's probably to a fault with all the jump shots he takes. But
I mean, he's open for a reason. I mean, they're loading up against Morant, so he can't drive. But the bottom line is, just to wrap this series up, I think LeBron, once again, I mean, I don't want to keep putting out all the accolades that this man has accomplished, but I think they get past this series once again, and it'll be interesting with that Kings series with De'Aaron Fox. I think he broke his hand, or he has a hand injury.
Broke a finger. Yeah.
That's going to be very, very interesting now that the Warriors seemingly have their swag back, particularly after Steph's little snafu with the Chris Webber timeout thing. The interesting part is Mike Brown winning the championship. Winning Coach of the Year, having coached the Warriors in the past years, he knows every single thing about that team and Steve Kerr. So what better guy to go against him than Mike Brown and the Kings? And now all of a sudden their budding superstar, De'Aaron Fox from H-Town, by the way, breaks his hand, I want to say. And without him, even though they're going to be at home, and that's a great home environment, it's going to be really tough. Because here's the deal. If Sacramento can just win at home, they win a series. You only got to win a series by one. If they just win at home, it doesn't matter what happens in San Francisco. It only matters what happens in Sacramento. If they can just take care of home court, it won't matter. And we've seen these teams win without their stars. We saw, the Bucks win without Giannis. We saw Memphis win without Morant. And the question is, can these guys win without De'Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, even before the injury, I give Sacramento a chance. Almost close to a 50-50 chance. Prior to the injury, they got De'Aaron Fox listed as doubtful for this game tomorrow. If he doesn't play, man, the only thing is, like you said, they have to win at home. And Golden State, and the reason Golden State is in this predicament in terms of all season long, not having the record they wanted to have, is because they've been horrible on the road. And the entire season we've been waiting for them to have a big road win so we can say, okay, they've gotten over the hump. That was just some crazy, for some reason this season things were going right. They finally got over it. They're back to themselves. They can win on the road. But they still, to this point, haven't done that. Okay, so and they didn't win in either of the first two games in Sacramento. They have this game 5. I don't see how you can be confident that they can win. We all know going to give them a chance because of their history, but I don't see how we can be confident that they're going to get it done. To me, I have to see it. I'm not totally doubting it. I would say this series, if De'Aaron Fox plays game 5, I could see this series going to 7, and then when you get to a 7th game, home or away, that pressure is real both ways. Especially when
it gets to 7 games, I'm taking the Warriors.
Yeah, you have to. I think you have to, because and then and only way, Sacramento would have to prove all of us wrong, and then that's how you get your respect. But
I mean, deep down inside, as a Laker fan, I want Sacramento to win because I know there's no way in hell that they're going to beat the Lakers.
Are you serious?
In the playoffs?
Seriously though, I mean both. You just said earlier that Sacramento, these young guys, they running around. You think the Lakers can keep up with that?
Listen, they can't beat LeBron in 7 games. No way. I don't believe.
LeBron. I mean, LeBron's old, man. Did you heard
I
Dylan?
understand that. LeBron also got 22 and 20 the other day. So
he did, but
I'm just saying.
if it wasn't for Austin Reeves dropping
7-6.
23, you know what I mean? Like it was telling that Austin Reeves was the highest scoring player on the
He made
Lakers.
2 free throws at the end to put him ahead. He had 21. But here's the deal: the points that matter. Listen, I'm not here to disparage Austin Reeves because I think he's a player. But the bottom line is, without L Train, it don't happen for the Lakers. They got
right, but he only put up 20 points. What, 22 points?
Yeah, but
right? It's not like he's going out there dropping 40.
He had 22, 20, and
no, he did.
But see that's the beauty of the game. And I don't want to go back and talk about LeBron because I love LeBron and his ability as a player to be a complete player, and not to disparage Jordan, Kobe, this, that. But there's nothing he can't do. There are no weaknesses, including the free throw line, because he can make enough of them, and they can be timely makes. So people can say whatever they want, but he's 2 for 19 in the playoffs. Man, LeBron James is one of the top 3 3-point shooters of all time in the playoffs. Like, you got to understand, it's more than longevity. So at the end of the day, when players start to decline in their time, it's always scoring when they start to decline.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, there's a young gun like Anthony Davis that this dude knows. He's smart enough to know, listen, if I go out there and get 40, we losing. I need AD to be encouraged. I need D'Lo to believe that he can make a shot.
But this stuff, it's not working. You know what I mean? These guys aren't really producing. The others aren't producing. Like, I'm not saying, like, I would say, I mean, we know LeBron is 38. I mean, it's amazing what he's doing at 38, but he cannot do what he was doing at 30 or 20.
He's never done 22 and 20 in his career.
But he has to do that now. He has to become a rebounder. Like, he has to, because he can still do that. He can't still get you 40 every night. He cannot do that.
Well,
he's not physically capable right now.
I don't know if he's not physically capable.
I mean, every night. He could do it one night, but he can't do it every night.
Well, the reason why is he's not a great 3-point shooter. I mean, percentage-wise, he's decent in his career, and as far as makes is concerned, he's one of the best ever, right? Particularly in the playoffs, he's number 3 all time in the playoffs behind Clay and Steph. So what I'm saying is, and people don't realize that. People are like, oh, they look at the numbers. I say, man, just go look at the numbers. It'll astonish you how many threes this guy's actually made. So my thing is, because he doesn't make threes, it's hard to pile those points up because he doesn't go to the line like he used to. So he got to make two. So to get 40 for LeBron
and expend a lot of energy,
3-point line is very difficult.
Right.
He has to be making threes.
Right. So my whole thing with the Lakers, and just going back, because yes, the Lakers have the advantage in this series, but I don't think, Ja Morant wasn't himself this last game. I know we don't like the excuses. I get it. It doesn't matter. They lost, whatever. But it's just plain to see that Ja Morant wasn't even close to 100% with the hand.
It's called defense.
Come on. Wait. You're telling me that he was 100? He was 100%. Ja Morant.
If somebody said is AD 100%,
is AD closer to 100% than Ja Morant was last night?
Was he 100% when he got 45?
No.
Well, so I'm saying that he did not play well with the charges. He's
right, and still, it was an overtime game that LeBron had to save them pretty much to get out of. So it's 3-1. I'm just saying it's just to talk about this series. It's 3-1 now. We go back to Memphis after that grueling game. There's only two a day in between games now. We go back to Memphis. Do you think LA closes it out in Memphis?
I think they close it out
in Memphis.
I think it's a tough game, and I think it comes down to the fourth quarter. Because listen, when I was a college coach, I really wasn't a big NBA fan. I was a fan of the players, and then obviously, being a broadcaster now, I watch NBA when college is over because it's just too much to consume. Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, anybody that says that college basketball is better than pros is out of their mind, first of all. Because in college basketball, everybody can't make a shot.
Right.
And there's glaring weaknesses. In the NBA, you can never leave those dudes open. I mean, you can leave Dillon Brooks open, but you can't leave dudes open. Dudes are so good in the league They're
Right.
the best at the world of what they do. So to say college is better, you could be a fan, you like the NCAA tournament,
No.
but please miss me on that. Now, I say that to say is that the NBA in the playoffs, or I'm sorry, the NBA in general, like I never believed this. It really is about the fourth quarter, Jamal. Like these dudes do not really play, but in the playoffs,
In the playoffs,
they
they
play
play.
4 quarters.
Right.
It's a different game. The level goes up, and they're playing defense like crazy because in the fourth quarter, you could be down 15 and dudes win. All people come back all the time because of the shot clock. People don't realize the shot clock changes basketball because it forces the other team to shoot even when they're ahead. So if they're scoreboard watching and they're up 10, they still got to keep scoring because you're going to change possessions. And in the league, they can score so quickly. They don't even press in the NBA, but dudes can come back from a lead. It's just a different mindset. I learned that from pro coaches and guys that have been in the league, like a Wally Zerbeck. I sit next to him. The stuff that comes out of his mouth, or Sheldon Mack, I'm like, yo, these dudes don't know what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, they do because they see the game differently than college guys.
Right.
You know, I'm serious. I'm like, what? Why wouldn't you do that? Man, you don't realize. I'm like, huh? But in the pros, it makes all the sense in the world.
Right. Right.
Because I would never go over the top of the screen on Ja Morant. I'm like, I will go under and make Ja Morant with a hurt hand shoot every single time. And the pros, they won't do that. They'll keep going over the top and get in drop coverage and let Ja Morant come down the middle of the lane. I don't understand that. But in the pros, their analytics say that's a better way to play. Now, take a De'Aaron Fox out of that King series, who handles the ball primarily a lot, who's also feeding Monk, right? Who now people have to have draw attention. He draws attention, what gets Sabonis and those other guys open. Now eliminate that. So you got Davion Mitchell out there, who's a good player, but give me a break. You know, it's nothing compared to having De'Aaron Fox out there.
No.
So that series, if Steph and Clay get ahead of them, it's a wrap. Listen, man. I'm going with Draymond, Clay, and Steph. I'm sorry. I got to go with the experience now that Fox is hurt. It's a critical injury.
So basically you see a Laker Golden State matchup.
That's what everybody wants to see.
And pretty soon. So if we
NBA and TV wants that series, right?
And if De'Aaron Fox is compromised, he's one of the top 5 scorers in the playoffs right now.
How about this? If De'Aaron Fox is compromised and the Kings still win this series, Mike Brown is definitely the coach of the year.
Yeah,
I think he was the first unanimous coach of the year. I want to say he was the first unanimous, coach.
I didn't realize he was unanimous this year.
I think my memory serves me right. It was Steph was the first unanimous player,
right,
that was ever voted coach here, which blows my mind. That Jordan was never unanimous, or LeBron was never unanimous, or even those ridiculous years that Steve Nash got it back to back, which is crazy with Kobe and Shaq in the league. But that's a whole nother story. But to say that he's with Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, and guys like that. Think about it. Phil won 11 rings and was never unanimous coach of the year.
Hey man, there are a lot of haters in the media. A lot of haters.
Well, I'm just saying, never the unanimous coach of the year. He was the first unanimous coach. So if he can get this done, definitely deserving of that for sure.
Let's before I was gonna say let's go to the East, but let's talk about the Clippers quickly. Clippers, Suns up 3-1. We know the deal. The first 2 games were riveting. Kawhi came to play. He was outplaying at least KD. You could easily say he was outplaying KD. Booker was doing his thing, so it might have been close there. And then, of course, despite the fact that he load managed all year, that the whole narrative they gave us was that he's we're going to rest him as much in the regular season, so he's good to go in the playoffs. And then what happens? We get to the playoffs after game 2, sprained knee, never see him again. I mean,
but Jamal, seriously, let's look at events that were parallel. I honestly believe this is a mental health issue. They can say what they want about
on Kawhi's part.
On Kawhi's part, because of what's happening with his sister. It's not a surprise that the minute that comes out, he hasn't played since. And I don't know this. I don't have any inside source, but that came out and we've never seen him on the court again. So it's not like he just found out that day like we found out. He already knew about this.
Right.
right? So, and he could have found out 24 or 40 hours before. I don't know, and I don't know how close they are, but it's news, man. Like, imagine that happening to you on that stage. That's all people would be talking about. And
But
I don't
you
know
got to
if it's
figure though. You got to figure he knew like that. The news was what, that she was sentenced. Maybe I can't remember
life
exactly.
in prison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know the trial. You have to assume the trial was going on already. Like you know, this happened a few years
I
ago.
mean,
I
I
mean, he had played
hear
with it
you.
before. You
I
know.
understand that, but what I'm saying is, since that sentence came out, the sentencing came out, he has been on the floor. I'm just looking at for Kawhi the man right now. Just forget about the basketball player. I'm just trying to figure out what I would be going through. We don't know how close he is or close
Right.
he is not, but what you'd be going through if something like that happened. And at the end of the day, man, I mean, I like KD. I don't believe KD is the best player in the NBA. He's not the most all around. Like, I like KD as a scorer, 7-foot guy. He's a freak. But to me, it's not close between him and LeBron. Like the accomplishments and the
No.
overall
That's
game.
not.
Like when
That's not.
people say that, it's mind-boggling to me. I'm like, he's a
No.
7-foot guy that can dribble. Guess what? Dirk Nowitzki was a 7-foot guy that can dribble too. Like there's a bunch of 7-foot guys. Now, KD may be a little bit more special than those guys. When you start talking about triple doubles, rebounding, assists, like it's not even close. And then
Or just accomplishments. What? And then I'm not talking about stats
18
on a piece of.
All-star appearances. I
Yeah,
mean,
and I'm
come
not
on,
even
it's
talking about
frustrating.
stats on a piece of paper. I'm talking about just watching what they've done in their careers. When LeBron goes to a team, he could be by his damn self, and
Yes.
that team is going to be in the playoffs. Period. I don't care if he has a bunch of bums on the team with him.
100%.
Like he can transform a team. He can get you to the finals by himself. He made it to the finals how many times? And people used to say, oh, I think KD even said this. He was perplexed why people didn't put him above LeBron because he beat him that one year in the finals. I'm like, you were favored to win. Like everybody knew you were going to win that.
Here's
You
the
had the
thing.
better team.
Yeah. First of all, you're also playing with another generational talent. Actually, two generational
Yeah.
talents. And I
Yeah.
might even go so far to say three
Right.
generational talents when I say Clay and Steph, the Splash Brothers, and Draymond Green as a other, like a
Right.
Rodman. Like he's like a transcendent Rodman. Like name me a guy like Draymond Green. There's not another player like him in the league. I'm sorry,
No.
there is not. People can say what they want about Clay and Steph. Draymond Green has that it thing that you're like, yo, he's 6'7". How does he guard these guys? Yo, he can't shoot. He can't. All you say is he can't, and all he does is win. And without him, they're not the same.
Right.
They do not ascend the way they ascend. And so my thing is when it comes to KD, I honestly believe, man, KD's a ring chaser, man. Like KD, legit to me, like what he did with the Warriors, and then what he did with the Suns. I'm like, dude.
Or to the Nets.
And to that straight ring chaser. Dude, they got DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. I'm like, are you serious?
And they might not win it, which is
They're
going to hurt,
winning.
which
They're
is going
winning.
to hurt him.
They're
You know,
winning. They're winning. If Paul George,
I'm worried about Chris Paul.
He's old, but I mean, he made a couple shots in game 3. But I'm saying without Kawhi Leonard and
Oh no, I mean beyond this series,
well, they got to play the Nuggets. That's
Right.
going to be a very interesting series because again, Jamal Murray's back, right? And
Yeah, he's
Jokic,
back.
what do you say about Jokic? They got no answer for Jokic. I mean, he'll run circles around DeAndre Ayton. That is going to be a very good series.
Yeah, and I think
That's going to be
like I said, I picked Phoenix to come out of the West. I'm looking at so you don't really
So
watch.
think about what you just said. Hold on. Think about what you just said. I picked Phoenix to come out of the West. Now, did you pick Phoenix to come out of the West before Kevin Durant went there?
No, of course.
So
Not.
Kevin Durant was doing the same thing. Like, hold on, what team can I get?
Of course he was. Of course he was.
Phoenix will be the favorite to come out of the West.
Yeah, and I don't, and a ring chaser, whatever. If I'm trying to be nice, the best I can say about KD now is that he's become a hired gun. Like that's all you are. Like you're just like, you need a 30-point score. Here I come. Like I'll help you out. Like it's not like we're used to our stars like being the centerpieces and building and winning around you. And now he's kind of turned himself into some dude. He just plopped. You need a little help to get over the top. I got you.
And a sensitive superstar at that. That's a very sensitive superstar at that. I mean, you get that type of praise, people are going to criticize you all day long. It's just what it is, man.
Yeah.
And man, again, even me being critical of him, I'm not saying he's not a great player, but one of the greatest of all time. No, we're not going there. Like, I don't believe that. He's a tall guy that can make shots and threes. He's efficient. But to say that I like Kevin Durant more than Dr. J, no. To say that I like Kevin Durant more than Magic Johnson, no.
hell
To say
no.
I like Kevin Durant more than Olajuwon, no.
What
Kevin Durant more than Shaq,
what
no.
about
Kevin
Kobe?
Durant more than Kobe, no. I'm just saying, like,
People make the argument that he's better than Kobe because of the efficiency.
oh, he's not better than Kobe. Let's get that straight. I mean, Kobe was a gunner, but give me a break. The Mamba was a killer. But I'm just saying, like, when you say, you know, LeBron over Kobe, yeah, I take LeBron over. Like Kevin Durant or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. No, like, because of his off the court antics, it makes you like him less. I'm just being honest. It makes him like it. It makes you like him less.
Yeah, and I'm not, and I like the off the court stuff is just his decision making from going, going team to team. Really, that's the off, and that's part of that plays into part of your career. Like what did you actually do, to create winning?
Let me ask you a question. Who came to play with him? I know who he came to play with.
Kyrie, or did he play for
Kyrie? Was at first. Who came to play? Who's saying Kevin Durant? I want to go there. You see what I'm saying? The Warriors didn't say that.
Right.
He went to the Brooklyn Nets. He came to the Suns. No one's saying, "Hey, man, let's load up the ship. Let's go play with KD."
Yeah, and now those days are over because he's 34.
Yeah,
he is what he is the rest of his career. He is going to be this hired gun the rest of his career. There's no going back and let's start something. That those days are over.
Let's get over the East, man, because obviously we know it's going to be the Lakers, Warriors, and it's going to be the Nuggets, Suns. And I think those are, like, if I was in the NBA or ABC or TNT or ESPN or whoever the games are on, those are great games. That's
true. And let me just say, for the record, I haven't given up on Memphis coming back to win this series. Just because
you got money on the game, man. You got money on Memphis.
I don't got money on it. But I'm just saying they got two home games, so it comes down to them just being able to win in LA, which I'm not sure they could do because they haven't come up big in LA.
Well, what you're saying is they're going to beat them 3 straight. That's the only way they can win.
I mean 3 straight, but 2 at home is possible. That's
hold on. The Lakers destroyed them during the regular season. They've never had a great record against the Lakers. Now you saying they're going to beat them 3 straight?
I have no doubt they can win. They'll win Game 5.
Well, listen,
so it comes down to Game 6.
Because if he does, Taylor Jenkins, they just give this guy accolades like he's the greatest coach in the world. I'm like, okay, well, get out of round 1, homie.
But for the sake of argument, they are up 3-1. I'll give you the Lakers moving on, and we'll go with the Warriors moving on because of the Aaron Fox uncertainty in the East. I mean, this is crazy, man. The Bucks and the Heat. I thought coming into the series thinking that Giannis would be 100%. I had 4 or 5 games for the Bucks to win this series. Giannis gets hurt the first game. They lose that game. They play without him the second game, they win. They play without him the third game, they lose. And then he comes back to save the day. They're dominating the game for most of the game, or at least up 10 plus points most of the game. And then Jimmy Butler, I mean, I don't know what this dude eats for breakfast. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand what's going on with that.
He turned into bubble Jimmy.
He did. Like come on. I love Jimmy Butler. He's a great player, but 56 points.
Ugly game, man. Just an ugly, slow, just methodical, just an animal. I mean, I don't call him an animal, but he just takes you apart. He's relentless. Another H-Town cat, dude that was underrated in high school.
He's from H-Town. I didn't know that.
From Houston, yeah, he's from Houston.
Really, I didn't know.
And talking about a guy who was unrecruited out of high school, went to junior college, was a throw-in with another player named Joseph Folks at Marquette, and then became a superstar. So he definitely came up through the mud.
Did he play for Buzz? He played for Buzz at Marquette.
Buzz Williams at Marquette. He played for Buzz Williams, and it was just, nothing pretty about it. Just ugly, in your face. He's that boxer everyone wants to see, like Thomas Hitman Hearns. With a nice jab, with the snapping jab. He just one of those guys just come up, just get in, just under you, like like not Larry Holmes, but like maybe like a Larry Holmes, just like ugly. You're like, oh my God,
and totally destroy you.
And totally destroy you. Just again, not the flash that the other guys get. But I'll say this: I'm telling you right now, you heard it here first. I got my little sources. I know you're a source guy. They lose this series, Budenholzer's out. You're number 1 seed, man. You lose to the 8th seed. That's why I keep telling people about injuries. I don't want to hear about it. They won without him. And then he comes back and you still lose with him. So that's why you can't bring the, hey, man, we got 15 dudes that are on the roster for the NBA. They're 15 pros. I get it. He goes down. We got to, that's where your coaching and your basketball acumen and trying to figure it out. That's why you get paid. It's not to get paid. It's you don't get paid so your best player plays and you win.
Right.
The other guys coaching too, and they got stars too. They got injuries they got to deal with. Yep. Because here's what I say, Jamal. When a coach wins in spite of challenges, you know what they want? Man, you need to pay me. Look what I did. Look what I did in spite of, I had an insurmountable task that Jamal Murphy said I had no chance of winning, and I won, so pay me more. But when they lose, guess what they want? All the excuses. Well, I didn't have my best player, so you can't have it both ways. You're the coach. Whether you got all the players or you don't have the players, you're the coach.
Right.
And I think Budenholzer, I'm telling you, well, we didn't have Chris Middleton all year. Bro, you were the number 1 seed without Chris Middleton. The hell are you talking about?
Yeah, no, it would be a disaster. And remember, I would say, oh, it's kind of harsh to fire him, but really, remember, before he won, he was on the hot seat. Before they won it all, like everybody was calling for his head.
By the way, unceremoniously got rid of Jason Kidd when he was on the climb.
Right.
And they brought him in, and it was just time for the Bucks to win.
Right. So, he finally got it done. And then, you talk about coaching and excuses. You look at the other side, who the person he's coaching against is Spoelstra, and he's just they lost Hero. He got guys playing like the G League All-Americans
guys on the team. I'm like, man, who is this dude, man? Played at UC Santa Barbara. I don't even remember this guy. Right. Then you got, the other kid from DePaul.
Strus. Yep.
Strus, and I'm like, man, I don't even remember when he played at DePaul. Like, I'm saying, like, who these dudes they got, man?
Yeah, dude was like 1-20 at DePaul, and he's out here in the damn.
But give Spoelstra credit. I've never been a fan, really. I don't like the way they handle the LeBron thing. LeBron can be a diva. I don't like the way I don't like the Heat organization. I don't like the way they handle Dwayne Wade. It is what it is. I don't care. I'm not a Heat fan, so I don't have to, give them love like that. But shout out to my boy Malik Allen, who's on the staff. Ed Pinckney, my boy, he played for the Heat. So there's some guys that, and then when LeBron was there, I liked the Heat. But, at the end of the day, you got to give Spoelstra credit, man. Right. He figures out a way to get his guys to play hard. They're always in shape. And let's not forget, Jamal, they lost Oladipo too.
Yeah.
And guess what else? Kyle Lowry. Now I don't know if he played. I didn't watch the last game.
He's played
off the bench.
Yeah, no, he lost a couple of steps.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And he's not the same. But they're finding a way to win. Now that next round, they're gonna get knocked out.
Well, before we get to that next round, a couple of these 3-1 series, I don't think are over, and it's the same reason here that I was talking about with Memphis, but even stronger in this case, because you got Milwaukee. They have 2 home games left. They haven't played with Giannis in 2.5 of these games that they're losing this series in. He wasn't there 2.5 of these games, so fine. You got to expect, he's back again. His back was feeling okay for the next game, so you got to expect him to win at home in Milwaukee. So really, it's going to come down to, can they beat Miami Game 6 in Miami? And you got to give them a chance. I mean, like I said, when we first started talking about this series, I expected them to sweep them or win in 5 anyway. So why wouldn't I expect them to win? What's so bad about winning 3 straight games right here? They should do it. It's something that they should do.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda doesn't show up in the record.
That's true. That's true. But I'm just saying they should get it done. If they don't, you're right. And maybe Budenholzer deserves to be fired if they don't get it done.
We'll see. I don't like to call for people's jobs, but if you're the number 1 seed and you lose the number 8 seed who had to play in the play-in, right? And because people got to realize, man, you're playing 82 games. You know how long that season is?
Right.
And you get the number 1 seed. And in the NBA, it's a misnomer because guys are taking breaks. Guys don't play every night. Guys are load managing. Like that 1 and 8 is a bunch of crap. It's not what it used to be.
Right. When you say used to be, you're only talking about, I feel like it's only like, you could say ever since the plan or whatever, or even maybe a little bit before with the guys load managing. This is like a new phenomenon now where really do these seeds really matter at all? They
don't, not to me. And look at the West. Look at the West. Okay, or forget about the West because we say that's going to be a phenomenal series. You're going to have the Suns versus Nuggets. Great. You got LeBron and AD versus the Warriors, Steph and Clay. Man, come on, man. All those games are must-see TV. Now, let's jump over here to the East. Now, who wants to see Miami move on? People want to see Giannis, right? They want to see Giannis. And you look at the other series where you got Philly, they could easily dispose of Brooklyn.
Right.
And Philly's got to play the winner of the is it the Hawks? No, yeah, the Hawks.
Boston Hawks. Yeah.
You're gonna have Philly, Boston, baller series.
Yeah, that's what people want to see. Right.
And you want to see the Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, come on, that's what people want to see. If I'm the NBA, I'm like, yo, please, Milwaukee. Who wants to see the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks? Nobody.
So what you're saying is watch out for the officiating in those Milwaukee Heat games coming up.
No, man, but you made a great point. This game comes, first of all, Milwaukee will not win any one of those games I'm sorry, the Miami will not win any one of those games in Milwaukee.
Right.
It comes down to game 6 in Miami.
Right.
And if I'm Miami, that's what I'm saying. Hey, man, we got a puncher's chance.
And if I'm Milwaukee, I'm saying, hey, we're trying to win a championship. Like, winning a game in Miami should not be an issue. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, we got to take care of that.
I was never crazy about Milwaukee. I mean, other than Giannis, and I like Drew Holiday. He's a good player. Like, he's an all-star.
Yeah.
And Middleton's, he's just okay to me. Like,
and he also hasn't been right.
But I mean, he was never like I was never like, oh my God, Chris Middleton. The rest of them dudes, I mean, I'm just like, who else? Okay, Bobby Portis, he's kind of like a little favorite of mine. I like
Brook Lopez,
Brook Lopez. They just got a bunch of like, and Giannis makes them, oh my God, they got Giannis.
Right.
Like, you're never like, oh my God, they got, Bobby Portis. Oh my God, they got, the kid from Duke, Grayson Allen. Like, it's never Wesley Matthews coming off the bench. I mean, come on, man.
Right.
Like, no one's like, you got him and you got the kid, I forget the other kid coming off the bench for the Bucks. But you're never like, oh my God, the Bucks. It's Giannis. And so if they get disposed of and it's New York versus Miami, man, Miami could be playing in the finals, man. I mean, in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I mean, we've seen it before.
Yes, they could be. I like the Knicks, but would it be a shock to anybody if Miami can beat them in 7 games?
No, it wouldn't be shocking.
It wouldn't be shocking.
It would not be shocking. Speaking of the Knicks, Knicks Cavs, what do you think of that series so far?
Man, Jalen Brunson, oh my goodness, bro. Jalen Brunson, they were slow, just methodical. It goes to show you if you have a kid, and Rick Brunson, who I played against in college, who's his father, who's on staff, it goes to show you a coach's son. Usually when they say coach's son, and I'm not even trying to be funny here, they always talk about some white kid. Oh, he's a coach's son. Well, this dude's a coach's son. Played for a great player in John Chaney. I mean, a great coach in John Chaney, who Rick Brunson played for. And now he's a mentor of his son. His son, people thought was too slow and everything else. 2-time national champion. And think about this, was in Dallas. And they let this dude go.
Yeah, that's one of the all-time debacles.
And
you could have had him on the cheap.
On the cheap. Let him go. And look what he's doing. Shining. And so my thing is, as much as people want to hate against Jalen Brunson, those days are over, man. That dude is a lead player along with Julius Randle, and they're getting it done. I just don't feel like star power-wise, Jalen Brunson, Jalen Randle can win your NBA championship.
No.
I just don't.
They have a ceiling. Well, I expected more from the Cavs. I think obviously they let that game 1 at home get away from them. But then when they got to the Garden, man, they just seemed completely overwhelmed. Like, they just seem, I hate to say it, but they, the whole team just seems shook. You think is that possible for NBA professional players to be shook?
Oh, here's the thing, Jamal. When's the last time Cavs been in the playoffs? When's the last time Darius Garland played in the playoffs? When did obviously Mitchell's been in the playoffs, but my thing is, when is any of those other guys? Jared Allen probably played with the Nets in the playoffs, but I mean, who's been in the playoffs? For the Cavs, and the combined leadership of what that team is, and what Karis LeVert. I mean, like, who's been in the playoffs that you can point to, be like, yo, man, because they thought getting Donovan Mitchell was going to be the be all end all.
Right.
He was the guy to get them over the hump, and at the end of the day, they still kind of young.
And also, I think this was like the worst series matchup for Donovan Mitchell too. I mean, I think he, because he's from New York. He has that, but he's not from New York City. So he's always had that kind of like, that people, kids from New York City don't really claim him. And then he has to play in Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, and he looks at his home. I just feel like he's saying out loud, like, hey, this is different. Like, this means a lot to me to play here. I think you got to shut that out, man, and just be like, pretend like it's nothing. Like, you can't go in there admitting that it's some big deal.
Man, this world great. Listen, people can say whatever they want. You've been to Knicks games. I've been to Knicks game. Trust me, the Knicks could be 1 in 1,000 and it will be sold out.
Right.
It's just a different. Again, you're talking about 28 million people having access to a 19,000 seat arena, but it's an international game. Like, people laugh when I say, "Why you like the Yankees?" Well, I like the Yankees because the tradition, but it's an international. You go to a Yankees game, man, there's people from all over the world. It's not just Yankees. It's a different world, and that's what the Knicks is, and that's what come play for the Knicks and be a star with the Knicks. Think about this, and you know this better than me because you're a New Yorker. Who is the greatest, most popular Knick ever?
The greatest, most popular Knick ever. I mean, you could say Walt. You could say
back in the day,
Pat Ewing.
Think about that. Pat Ewing.
Mm-hmm.
How many championships he win?
0.
And this is New York.
And the funny thing is, even Melo is real popular now.
Very popular. Never won a thing.
Right.
And so, and I would
Bernard King never won a thing.
Never won a thing. But Patrick Ewing would probably be the winningest, other than the guys like Roman Rowe. I don't know. No, who are the guys that played when they won?
But before them, like Willis Reed and Walt Frazier.
Pat Ewing is the most beloved Knick. Like, no LeBron James, no Kyrie, no Kevin Durant. Like, no. And Pat Ewing's a superstar. Don't get me wrong, but I can argue that Pat Ewing was a bigger superstar at Georgetown than he was with the Knicks, because he was invincible. When he got the Knicks, he started shooting jump shots and stuff. He was just a dude. And
he won championships at Georgetown.
Won
a championship.
But went 2 years, but was invincible. What I'm saying. And so and again, some of those guys have the same problem during the LeBron era, except for the guys that built the Spurs and built the Warriors. I laugh at that commercial, that Chuck Barkley commercial, when he has that little monogram. He says, "How many championships you gonna win?" He said, "You'll be surprised." Came along during the Mike era. So did Karl Malone. Came along during the Mike era, and none of those guys, other than Elijah, won when Mike was gone. Won his 2 rings. So it was a time when no one got a championship when Mike was playing, because those super teams, people got to realize, not to help LeBron here, but LeBron had super teams with his super team. The Warriors were a super team. The Spurs were a super team, so they could beat LeBron. There was
you basically you don't win championship if you're not a super team. Let's just keep it real.
Well, the Bulls were a super team, and they were the only super team back then. There was no people, John Starks, all those guys. Get the hell out of here. It was
think about that. Think about that. You had Ewing, who was a bona fide star, but that was it.
That was it.
Guys, John Starks was bagging groceries in Oklahoma like 2 years before he got there. Yeah, Anthony Mason played overseas. Charles Oakley was the ultimate just role guy. And all those guys are legends now.
Yeah, they're legends now. They still didn't win anything.
You had an older Larry Johnson who wasn't what he used to be.
Grandmama. It just, again, but the Pistons doing Mike's earlier, but Mike didn't beat those guys until to the end, and then the Lakers were old. So there was really not a super team. Magic got, he got the issue, and he was done, and it was over with. There was no other team that could come close. People could talk that Utah Jazz stuff with Stockton and Malone. Get out of here. No one, or the Bucks. I forget, not the Bucks.
Remember, Portland had a chance with
Drexler, Terry Porter, and Duckworth. Remember Duckworth and Buck Johnson? Nah. It was not the same. Jordan, this team they were the rock stars. They were far, you cannot talk about LeBron and still look at the NBA and be like, there's stars in that league.
Right.
You can watch the Warriors and be like, and not even think about LeBron. You can watch the Suns and not think about LeBron. You can watch the Celtics and not think about LeBron. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just, and you can watch the Sixers with James Harden and Tyrese Maxey and Embiid and not think about LeBron. I don't think those days would have existed the same way if Mike was in the league not playing, right? and the playoffs were going on. You can still watch the playoffs without the Lakers in it, and still be like, "Oh, this is a vibe." You know what I mean? But the Celtics, Udoka just got the Rockets job.
Yep.
And think about how good the Celtics must have been, even though he's not there, and they are still where they are right now. They must have been pretty damn good, you know.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, that's an interesting hire with Udoka, with Houston.
Why is it interesting? I don't get it. He was a successful coach.
No, I mean just interesting in terms of the young. I don't even care about the other stuff because we see how other guys and talk. Speaking of college, like guys have all kind of stuff happen. They get hired the next couple weeks later, even though they had a domestic situation. So I'm not like I don't even consider Udoka. He paid his price. He's good to go. He's good to return. Whatever. Yeah, and if he was even supposed to pay that price, who knows?
Yeah.
But no, but it's interesting because it's a young team that's not at this point expected to do anything, and he already has this reputation of as big time. Like if I'm there, we're gonna do some things, and you talk about how good Boston is, but they weren't that good. I mean, they were good, but they weren't that good before he got there.
And Tatum, they had Brown and Tatum.
Yeah, they had them, but they hadn't. Well,
and Horford.
That's true. They had been to the Eastern Conference Finals before.
Yeah, but Brad Stevens took them twice to these conference finals.
That's right.
So they just couldn't get over the hump.
I'm thinking of that season they were struggling.
Right.
But in the prior season, and they're waffling around, and then all of a sudden they take off second half of the season.
Hey, listen, if the Rockets get lucky and get the number 1 pick in the draft, and I think they got to ship off Kevin Porter. They're going to get LeBron. They're going to get not LeBron. They're going to get James Harden back. And they got the young kid, I forget his name right now, the kid from California.
Yeah, I know.
The other guard, first round pick last year. I mean, they got
pieces. They got pieces.
They got some pieces. It's just going to be a matter of how James Harden, how he morphs into that system, and then they get big.
You want James Harden back?
No, he's going back to Houston though. It doesn't matter.
Why though?
He loves Houston. He wants to.
But are they going to pay him?
It doesn't matter. He's a free agent.
All right, I'm just saying. I just don't. I would not understand if Houston actually paid him like exorbitantly to go there because I don't see how he helps you.
Going to pay him. I don't know what they're going to pay him. I just know that he's going back. So that makes them automatically, in the discussion. And if they get Big Victor, right, and they got Jalen Green, who's a kid I was thinking of, Jalen Green,
yeah,
and they also those three right there alone puts them in the conversation. For the West, all of a sudden the West is still popping because now the Rockets got those three. Oh my God.
So you think Harden goes back? He plays the role of unselfish point guard mentor.
What role is he playing now?
I'm saying you think he stays in that same role that he's playing. I don't think he can do much else because he's lost a couple steps. Let's be honest about it.
He's still one of the best players in the league, whether he lost a couple steps. The question is the discipline of what is the expectation of Harden? Because, I don't know if he's ever been the consummate leader. I don't want to put that on him like that, but maybe he's grown into that. He's certainly matured the way he had to change his game with Boston and Philly. Maybe he can bring that to Houston where he can almost do, I don't want to say this because he's not in the same breath as LeBron. LeBron has had to change and become an older, wiser leader. And when he has to, he puts his foot on the neck. But at the end of the day, LeBron out there chilling, man. LeBron got the record. He's like, yo, man, hey, man, hey, Austin, do this, do that.
And he had all those dudes. They have to do that at this age.
Yeah,
he can't go out there full tilt like he used to be.
Man.
And so I look at Harden as kind of like a Chris Paul. He's kind of like Chris Paul now. He's a pass first point guard, make high IQ. I don't think he's as efficient as Chris Paul was maybe a year or two ago. But
I'd rather have LeBron. I'd rather have James Harden than Chris Paul, though.
Right now, maybe
absolutely.
You're probably right. You're probably right. It's close.
Chris Paul's lost a few steps. I mean, James Harden, I believe, only because he's playing with those guys, he's playing nice. I still think he can do some of the same things.
He looks a lot slower out there now.
I know, but if he does that, you got to realize, man, he did whatever he wanted in Houston.
Right.
He did whatever he wanted. So that player that we saw, that wasn't normal the way D'Antoni let him play. Like it just wasn't.
Oh no.
It just wasn't. Mike Jordan didn't even play that way. I'm like, Kobe didn't even play that way. I'm like, right. This dude do whatever he wants. And now he's actually having to play like a real basketball player, right? And he's still really, really good, but we're just used to him quote unquote being the selfish guy that takes 1,000 dribbles and shoots it.
Right.
That's where we're accustomed to seeing him, and that's how he got his lore. But at the end of the day, they never won with that. They got close, but you don't get medals for being close. And look what Houston now, they're in the bottom of they're in the top of the draft, because after that experiment, bringing in Melo didn't work, bringing in Russ didn't work, bringing in Chris didn't work, almost worked. It's none of it worked. They can say whatever they want. None of it worked. And look where they are now.
Right.
You know, so now he's playing with teams that Brooklyn was a disaster, but Philadelphia, who actually has a chance to win a championship if he plays the right way, you know. And if he has to, turn it on when he needs to. You know what I mean? I mean, if I don't know, you might be right. He might have lost a step, but at the end of the day, you know,
he can hit a big shot. He's capable. He's capable of hitting. You know, I'm just because people used to act like Harden didn't have any explosiveness before, but he did kind of. He was a sneaky, explosive player, and he sneak dunk on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't realize he used to have that. And now
he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal. I mean, let's face it, he was phenomenal. It's just,
he's a former MVP,
bro. He's old.
Yeah. Exactly. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm trying to say.
He's
not wrong being old. That's why I got to stick up for my man Dylan Brooks too. All he said was the dude was old. You know, he said it in a bad way, but
what he should have said is he's older.
Right.
He's old.
And really, you know, so what? He's old. He's still better than your ass. He'll still bust your ass. You know what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to.
Tie behind his back. I mean, you just think about it, man. Those guys. You know what's funny about the NBA, and this is the last thing I'll say, is that you get guys like Austin Reeves playing at Oklahoma. You know, trying to hopefully he makes an NBA team. Watching LeBron, thinking like, oh man, that was good. And next thing you're playing. That's the thing about the pro game that amazes me. These are your heroes, right? And next thing you know, LeBron is passing you the ball, saying, "Shoot it." And you got to understand what that's like. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is psychologically, that's crazy. Hold up. LeBron and AD. Hey, Austin, we need you to play good. Y'all need me to play good? Yeah, bro. We need you to play good. Or LeBron's like, yo, man, I love Austin. Yeah, like, that's crazy.
At the snap of a finger, you know, like you said, you were just a college kid playing college ball in Oklahoma. Next thing you know, you're on the Lakers. And
you're on the Lakers. And not on the Lakers depending on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Did you see the old clip? Did you see the old clip of Austin Rivers dropping 40 on Bane in college? They keep showing that now.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
yeah. When he was at Oklahoma, he dropped 40 on TCU.
Oh, yo, listen. He
was a killer in college.
Huh?
He was a killer in college.
Yeah, he was 60, but he averaged, but he shot below, I want to say below 30% from three. 40, he shot 29% from three, shot about 41% from the free throw line. I mean, from the field, and was kind of like Trey was when he was at Oklahoma. I don't want to say he was a gunner like Trey, because Trey just
not quite.
Oklahoma, Atlanta, and I love Quentin Snyder. God bless you, because at the end of the day, it's going to take more than bringing in Quentin Snyder to change the culture of what's going on, because that was created through allowing a superstar who can't win you a championship. That dude can't, because winning the championship is not just what's happening on that floor. It's the stuff that's happening off the floor. And that's what people that don't understand sports don't realize. They really believe that there are things that are happening before you get to that floor. If the team knows if they're going to win or lose. Now, we on the outside don't know, because we don't know all the things that go on in their program. But those guys know they're winning or losing before they even get to the, we're not winning. You know what I'm saying? The coaches know we ain't.
And I like Trae Young. I like him as a person. I like his game to a certain extent. But I remember, I think it was his rookie or his second year, he hit. It's the first time I ever saw someone hit a game winner and people not congratulated him or jump on him. And I knew something was wrong right there. I thought this dude just hit a game winning shot and he's celebrating by himself. I'm like, yo, something's wrong.
Listen, there's got to be some soul searching, man.
All right, man. Yeah, so that's a wrap up.
I taught you something today, man. I like when you get these little sessions where you get to learn about basketball, because
there you go. You know what I'm saying?
The Lakers and LeBron, I got to teach you something. You know what I'm saying?
All right, and we'll revisit this in a couple of days, and for your sake, I hope you're right. I hope the Lakers can close it out. So, I want to cause you too much strife. I know you. If they lose that game 5, I know you'll be sweating for game 6. But
Me and Shannon Sharp, I'm gonna be sitting right next to Shannon Sharp. I'm gonna be in my living room, and he gonna be courtside. We're gonna be sitting there, and we're gonna call him Goat James. He gonna do what he do best, close him out, baby.
Go James, go James. I hear you.
Out.
All right, that's a wrap for us. Broadcast Hoops. Thanks for joining. We'll be back soon to talk more NBA playoffs, and we'll see how things go from here. Peace.
All right, brother. Peace out.